I'm really pleased to announce we've released our calibration inspection module, which is our enhancement to our client equipment modules and a whole suite of those applications. This is a really powerful module to help you keep track of where you're up to with the on what sort of state the client equipment is in at any point in time, and help you with those compliance type records and that type of thing that you've got to do from time to time to calibrate the equipment. So rather than me talk about this, let's have a look. So I'm in here and I've got my client equipment as usual, and we've got all of our equipment grouped by the customers, and so we can find them easy. And we'll just open up this particular generator, so I can see that we've sold this generator at some point to this company. And what we've done here is we've got some warranties and that sort of thing, but up the top here we've got some field service repairs and some field orders to go with those repairs. So you create an order, and then each order has jobs on it, and then that's where you've got your repairs. So how do we do this? Well, we've got a schedule here. Now our schedule means that we can automatically create these jobs on a frequency which is determined by however you need to manage it. So some pieces of equipment require monthly calibration checks and monthly services, or some require weekly services and quarterly calibration checks. Could be any variety of things. But these are regular scheduled activities will be created automatically. And just before I get into that, what I want to do is show you something in the settings. So if we go into settings and then under field service, you'll notice there's a new thing here that says service advance notice, so 7 days in advance. So this will create jobs this many days before the due date. So one of the problems we had was with creating the next job when the last job finishes, is that if you've got a calibration test that only needs to be done once a year, you have that job sitting in that queue for a whole year, just waiting for someone to action it, and then it's not a very sensible approach. Better to set it up that when it's coming due, then to create the job, so it's relevant to that particular time. So we've got that configuration option here. So 7 days in advance, it will go and create the jobs automatically for us, anything that's been scheduled. So let me go back to our dashboard, and I'll go back into client equipment and go and have a look at this particular item again, and go to my scheduled field services. I can see I do a monthly service here, and that just occurs every month. This is part of the standard recurring services that's part of that module, but there's some enhancements to here as to whether it's going to be a compliance inspection or not, but we've got our general things. So this will create your standard routine servicing that you do each month. No problem there, so no change there. We've also got this one, which is quarterly calibration check. So once a quarter, we're required either by some sort of contract or agreement or compliance or whatever to go out and do a calibration check on this particular piece of equipment each 3 months in this case. So because this is ticked as a calibration inspection, I get my calibration points in here, my inspection points, and as you can see for this particular one, there's quite a few to check off, and so they're really checking the entire integrity of the entire system throughout this quite comprehensive calibration check. You'll notice some of these are instructions, some of these are floats. In other words, they don't require or they can handle a decimal point. Some of these are integers where there's just a whole number. They don't handle the decimal points quite as well. And then some of these are pass-fail, just to tick off that you've done them, and so forth. And so that covers and we've also got photos in here as well. So if you require an image to be taken while you're out on site doing the calibration test, or any other check for that matter, you can add those photos in there as well. So we've got our main data types being instructions, our floats, our integers, pass-fail, our photos, or instructions. So how do we set this up is another thing. Well, just on the configuration, then under categories, this is where we set up the categories is what determines what calibration rules it gets. So if I look at my generators, here's all of my calibration points we just looked at. I've also got one here for a medical autoclave, and I've got a couple of inspection points on this one too. So the idea is you group together like products that require the similar sorts of calibration tests, and then you merely put it in the right category and it automatically inherits the right tests that need to be carried out in that particular equipment. So let's go and see one that we've done already. Let's go back to our one that our generator. We've got it here already, and I can see up here, let me just go to the more, and I can see where we've got our inspection smart button here, and I can go straight to this particular inspection, and I can see that it's passed all of the tests all the way down, and overall it's got a pass for the entire inspection. I can see this was a scheduled service, and I can see when it happened, and all that information is captured. I can see the hours of the particular equipment is consumed up until this point, and so forth. So all of the information's here. Now I can actually print out this calibration report. And just as you can with any other report, you can then email that to the client or send it to the authority, whoever needs to see it. You can see it's quite an attractive report. At the top here we've got some information about the unit itself, and then I can go into the results down here, and I can see all of the values that we measured against the values that they should have been, the range in between that they were tested against. Now during the test, the operators don't see the minimum and maximum, so they can't fudge the numbers. They've got to put in the actual numbers, otherwise they may as I say, try and sneak away with getting the calibration done without actually doing the measurement. So we do not include the mins and maxes in that display. We'll have a look at that in a little bit later. As I scroll through, I can see I've passed this particular test has passed all of its tests with flying colours all the way down, and then we've got the group of the photos that were inserted here and the signature by the inspector. So it's quite an attractive layout. It looks quite good. It's easy to read and so forth. So let's go and see one in action. So I'll go back to my equipment. Now I know I've already got one set up for this particular one, which was the autoclave, which is a much shorter inspection, so we won't be going through hours of watching me just ticking boxes and putting numbers in. But what we can do is go to our inspections. We don't have any inspections yet. You can see that we haven't completed that job yet. And remember, the inspections are a type of field service job. So I can either go to the field services and then go into the repair job, which I can do by going into field services, which is normally the way that your staff will be doing it. Let me just get rid of those filters because these haven't been assigned to anybody yet. But now we can open up this particular job, and if I open up the job itself, I can see the type is an inspection, and I can see it's in draft mode, that hasn't been done yet, and any other jobs I'll be able to see in this list as well. So it's not uncommon to, if you're going out to site, to make the most of it and go and do a couple of inspections or whatever the case may be. But this is ready to go. So as I said, this hasn't been assigned to anybody, and I'll leave that this way. So normally what would happen in the real world would be that the operations manager would go and schedule jobs for the staff, and then work out the routes and those types of things, and making sure that people are, who's sick, and who's available to do the job, who's busy. I'm going to skip over all that and assume that the production manager is going to do all that work. So let's go and open up this particular job. And so I don't have an assignee here, but let's go and click start. And it says, well, you can't start until you assign someone. So it does actually have that safety check in there. So I'm going to say I'm going to be true at this point in time. Mind you, I'm logged in as administrator, so I can do whatever I want. And what I'll do is I will now start the job. And what I'll do now is, if you're probably not going to have an hourly reading or a reading of any description on an autoclave, but if this was a, as I said, with a generator, as we saw before, you could put in the hours, the hourly meter read on that to see how many hours the generator had been working for. If this was a vehicle, let's say a truck, you might put the odometer reading in there, those types of things. And then down the bottom here, I've got my actual test down here. So I'm going to do this one now, and we've squished this up a little, so I'll just open this up a little bit more so I can see it. Now this works a lot better on a mobile phone and that sort of thing, but I'm just doing it on a desktop at the moment. So the first one is the steam dryness. So with an autoclave, that's a unit that sterilises equipment by reducing all the humidity, increasing the temperature and those types of things. So it's a bit like a pressure cooker type situation. So we need to measure the dryness for a calibration. And so if I then put in, let's say, 0.97 or something like that for the dryness, if I was able to measure that, then I would be putting a meter inside the autoclave to measure that. I wouldn't just be guessing it. I can see that pass, so that's within the tolerance. So 97% humidity, or dryness, the opposite of humidity. Let's to flip that around, it'd be 3% humidity is a pass in this case. So operating temperature, I'm going to put in 125, say, or it's got to be over 100 to be above that boiling point, and this is in Celsius, I can see there, so that's fine. The next one is the door seals. So that's a visual inspection on the door seals to make sure that it locks properly and creates that pressurized environment. So I'm going to tick that as being, yep, that looks good. And the last thing is an instruction. So I'm going to view the instruction, and it's got all this information about what I should be doing and that sort of thing. And I'm going to say, yes, I did all that. And if there's any additional notes, I can put them in there as well. But I'm just going to acknowledge it. And so now that's a pass as well. And so we're nearly done. So overall, I can put some inspection notes in here. So if I find something that maybe has a little bit of concern, or I just want to convey some message to whoever's going to read the report, then I can do that here. Then I've got my signature, and I'm not very good at signing with the mouse, but I'm just going to put in some squiggle. Normally you'd be, as I said, doing this on tablet, and to sign on with your finger. I mean, that's, everybody's kind of used to that these days. So I'm going to save that. And now our inspection is almost complete. So we've finished off all of our reports, we've passed, and overall our inspection has passed. And I've got the date stamped there, everything's ready to go, so I will complete this inspection. Now right from here I can immediately print it out if I want to. Let's go and see what that printout looks like. And there we go. So I can see it's got the company header information at the top here. I've got all the general information about the inspection itself up here, job reference number, the service date, who did it, the information about the particular device we calibrated or did a calibration test on. And then down the bottom I've got my actual results against the mins and maxes and that sort of thing as well, and then the signature. No, I didn't actually have a photo on this one, but we saw an example of that earlier. Great. So that's the way you do it. So let's just jump back to our... now this is, as I said, let me go back to... Keep clicking on that, won't go. If I go back to our equipment now, I can see that there is one inspection here, and so everything's tracked. So at any point in time, if I need to produce a report on any of these, I can print out my reports from here, service history, and my equipment inspections and that sort of thing. So that is ready to go now. So I hope you found this informative, and it's a great tool, a great feature. It's been long sought after. There's been a lot of requests for the calibration inspection. We've had it for the maintenance module for the internal company assets for quite a while, but now we've finally got it for the external, for the company, for the client equipment as well. So I hope you found that useful. I'll see you on the next one.